Good morning and welcome to Cooley Off-Road. Today we are out along the Columbia River outside of Vantage, Washington to go on a hike and an exploration along the old Vantage Highway, also known as the old Sunset Highway, which was Highway 10, bisected Washington State before I-90. With me, as normal, is my partner in crime, Nash Rarig.
What's up?
And right now it is 45 degrees and raining hard in Seattle, typical April weather. But out here, as you can tell, it is blue sky and 65.
Perfect.
So yeah, we're gonna be walking out. This is central Washington. It gets about 10 inches of rain a year. Sagebrush and basalt, baby. Geologist's dream. We're gonna go learn some history and go learn some geology. So there is no specific trail or hike or trail guide for what we're doing today. We're just kind of wandering along an old road and doing some cross-country travel. But if you want to go explore the general area where we are today in more depth, both of these books would be great to pick up. They both have a couple of trails in the vicinity in Frenchman Coulee, in the Ancient Lakes area, and then across the river in Vantage and at the Wild Horse Wind Monument. Got The Best Desert Hikes Washington, made by Alan L. Bauer and Dan A. Nelson, and then of course the part of the 100 Hikes series, 55 hikes in central Washington, produced by Harvey Manning and Ira Spring. And Desert Hikes, we looked through the table of contents. There's Ginkgo, Wild Horse, and then Ancient Lake, Dusty Lake, and Frenchman Coulee. Those are all in the vicinity of where we are. Those are all within the same 5, 10, 20 minute drive of us. And then in the 55 hikes in central Washington, quickly go through there. Scroll through real quick. Really, maybe not. Oh, there, Wenatchee area. Ancient Lakes, Dusty Lake, Frenchman Coulee, Trees of Stone, and then Whiskey Dick, Wanapum Breaks. All those are all in the same 15-20 minute drive from there. So both those books would be great pickups if you want to learn more about going exploring Washington's drier side, the desert side. Either one of those books would be a great one to pick up. So we have just left the main gravel trail that is down there, put in by Grant County POD if you want to hang out. Now we're kind of going off trail. We're eventually going to end up over there on the old Vantage Highway, but instead of going that way along a boot path and then cross-countrying up a stream drainage, we decided we're going to take this currently unused set of this old roadway, which will take us back up near the interstate, just to see if it's viable for riding bikes later on, because the highway, I'm sure, the old highway bed, I'm sure is still viable for riding bikes, but if I could get a bicycle up this with any decency, it would be much preferred than just cross-country bushwhacking it through the sagebrush. So that's where we're at now. We're gonna head up into the breaks, and all this nice pretty brown broken rock around us is basalt from flood basalts that popped in about 16-17 million years ago in northeastern Oregon northeastern Oregon, southeastern Oregon, and very northern Nevada, and it flooded. Quick update, we decided to bail on going up and around. Ooh, look at the sand over there and the something prints through the sand over there. So anyway, we decided to bail on going up and around because A, walking all the way back up to the interstate is like 600-700 foot elevation gain, which no. And B, if we were to stay along the roadway, which looks completely feasible for a bike from Google Earth anyway, it's probably a 5 or 6 mile hike to end up to get there where we want to go. Versus if we stay on this PUD access road that ends up down here right in front of the creek drainage, probably is a 1.5 mile hike. So we're greedy, we're lazy. We'll take the cross country bushwhack or sage whack instead of walking along 6 miles of sandy, sloppy old 2 tracks. So we'll keep walking. All right, so we are in the canyon now. Nash for scale. All the balsam root is still blooming. There was lupin further down closer to the water that was just starting to bloom, Columbia River. You see each of the individual flows. But yeah, we're in the canyon now, and this is classic Central Washington Desert Canyon country. Lots of sage, lots of thin clumpy grasses, balsam root blooming about this time of year. And then let's see if I can get the hiking stick correct. Yep. So there-ish, if you can see that line, is the roadway on that side of the canyon. It goes back and wraps around that buttress there. And then if you can see that retaining wall right about there, that's the roadway on this side, and it goes down and around and then swoops over the cliff. And what we're planning on doing is going up to hit the roadway. Oh, there's the erratic right there. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's a glacial erratic, that white rock. We're planning on going up, getting onto the roadway, walking along till it faces the water, and then we'll pull a tarp out, set up a little sunshade, little wind shade, and hang out for the day and enjoy the peace and quiet out here in the desert. But yeah, that's the plan. If you see footsteps on this little trail we're making, that's from Nick Zentner bringing his Geology 351 college class out here a couple weekends ago. That's how I learned about this trip, is we're pretty much recreating what he did. Ooh, some nice pretty baby blue purple daisies out. I think they walked the road. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to Nick about it. I think they walked the road, versus we're just, and then they walked down the canyon, whereas we're just gonna walk up and down the canyon at the same time. But yeah, why are we out here? Well, A, it's raining in Seattle right now. B, both Nash and I got our 4-year geology degrees at Central, so we like being out here in this part of the state to begin with. It's sunny, it's warm, the geology is cool as hell, and it's something to do on a weekend. It's a little over a 2-hour drive from Seattle. Need Discovery Pass to park the boat launch, and then we've probably been walking for about half an hour or so. And you go from rainy, temperate, coniferous forest out here to semi-desert country. I've already seen a couple of grouse, seen deer prints, lots of songbirds out chirping about. But this is one of the cool things. This is a glacial erratic from the Missoula floods. So this originated somewhere in southern Canada / northeastern Washington, northern Idaho, or western Montana. And this was stuck in an ice raft and floated down some out of Lake Missoula, got chunked out of Lake Missoula. Because at one time during the last ice age, ooh, somebody lost a rock hammer cover.
Look at that.
That's probably from Nick's geology group too. Anyway, this came from western Montana, northern Idaho in an ice raft, because during the last ice age there was a ice dam up near Missoula, created this massive glacial Lake Missoula, and every once in a while the dam would burst and all the water would come flooding down roughly the Columbia River path through central Washington and create all these coulees and scablands, which is what we're walking through. All the flood water came down, sometimes over there, sometimes some of it came right through here. Nearby Frenchman Coulee is a great example of it. It just ripped all this basalt out, and eventually when it laked up and ponded up and created slack water, then the icebergs would stop. And somewhere, this guy was on an ice raft that stopped a couple hundred feet above us, and as the water came down, the raft came down with it. Raft perched itself right here, water melted away, and this is where he sat for the last 15,000 years or so. Nick Zentner gives a much better explanation of it. He's got a lot more YouTube on it, a lot more on YouTube, a lot more lectures about it. He spent a good section of his 30-year career talking about J. Harlan Bretz's discoveries and how he proved that this was a flood story and not a regular erosion story. But he's got a lot more material on it than I do. There'll be a link to his YouTube channel and a link to his website down in the description below. But yeah, obviously not a red rock. All this other red or brown basalt, this is a white volcanic granite or rhyolite or andesite of some sort that came from western Montana or northern Idaho. It floated on an ice raft during massive Ice Age flooding that carved out everything you see here.
I'm probably gonna get a new one because this one's dumb.
Alright, so we're on so we're on the old Vantage Highway, aka the Sunset Highway now, and you can see it goes there and wraps around, comes around behind me, over, and goes back that direction. So now we're up on top, and I mean, it's Washington, central Washington desert. Brown rock, gray-green sagebrush. And because we're in the springtime, you get a little bit of color from the wildflowers, but it's breezy, it's 65, it's pretty much perfect for being out here walking around. It's quiet, only us and the birds.
See the Wild Horse Wind Farm in the distance?
Yep, you might not be able to pick it up on the GoPro, but back in there is the Wild Horse Wind Farm. And it extends pretty much from the tree line way over there, almost all the way down for like 15 miles down to the interstate border. But yeah, let's walk along the road for a little ways and get to our hangout spot. I'm sure this wind noise is terrible.
Yeah.
I need to find a fuzzy mic to plug into this. Oh, scared the bird away again.
It's the same one?
Uh-huh. Looks like the same one. That was a swallow.
Yeah.
I think she's just hanging out now.
It looks bigger in the sun.
Uh-huh. Also, it was less than 5 feet from me. Yeah. So you got this nice, cool architecture retaining walls, two different styles. The quote-unquote loose rock there, and then that one's actually got grout in between and it's kind of solidifying it. And then, those of you who are sharp-eyed may have noticed there's this line here, and I'm pretty sure this is dividing between two basalt flows. We've got the upper part of this one flow full of vesicles, aka air bubbles. All the vesicles, as it's cooling, all the air bubbles and all the gas and the liquid lava come up to the top. And then you got this hard crack in here. Uh-oh, maybe. You got this hard crack in here. And that's the dividing line between flow. And then this is a completely separate flow. A little bit of vesiculation here in the bottom because the gas had nowhere to go and it was probably under immense pressure. But then it just becomes solid rock and goes up to the next flow, and there's another line of vesicles up there. So this might be a dividing layer between flows, but when we get to the spot where we're going to, there's a much clearer example. Alright, so we've made it to the spot. Got this nice little retaining wall, Columbia River down there, town of Vantage over there, our little hangout spot for the day. Tried to put up a tarp for a sunshade, but we're probably not going to use it because it didn't come out too well.
It's scuffed.
It's a little schmucked up. But anyway, you come up here and you can see that nice, let's get the tarp out of the way. See that nice dividing line. That is actually a line between flows. So you got one flow down there and one flow up there. Top of one flow, bottom of the next flow. Look at all the vesicles. That's how you know it's top of the flow. All the vesicles rise up out of the lava and collect at the top and eventually escape and dissolve. And then you got the next flow. What's weird is you got these flows touching each other perfectly with nothing in between. There's no sediment, there's no sand, there's no other rock layer or anything else in between them. So they must have happened back to back pretty quickly. It's usually weird. Usually there's 5 to 10 feet of sediment or something else between each flow, signifying a change in time. And the other thing about being up here that's so special, it's got pillows, which indicates this flow on. Let's see if I can step back. Have my handy dandy helper point out a pillow or two. Nash. cavity there, that cavity was a pillow. The rock is obviously come out. So this indicates that this flow was flowing on water. It wasn't flowing on land, but it was flowing on water. So it was an ancient river or lake here, because this wasn't the ocean shoreline. At one point, ocean shoreline was here. That's a whole completely different discussion. And then all this orange stuff is minerals being leached out of the rock, I believe, but I'd have to go watch Nick's video again to remember to see exactly what it is. But yeah, this is the excitement. You show up, get a look at two different basalt flows connecting each other with no rock in between, so they're sitting literally on top of each other, and at least one is, huh? Pillow basalt. So if you want to see what pillow basalts look like in real time, just go look up some video from Hawaii or Iceland with the camera underwater and the basalt flowing into the ocean. It's the same exact thing, same exact concept. But yeah, on one side you got this beautiful set of basalt flows, which we're also standing on. Then you got the riverbed flowing through, and then 100 feet, 150 feet or so way down there is the ponded up Columbia River, Wanapum Lake. If we could find a way to get down to the beach without killing ourselves or having to go all the way back down to the creek bed, we'd definitely go for a swim. But that might have to come later in the day when we're done sunning ourselves like big old fat lizards on the rock. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the reason we came out here. The solitude, the quiet, no people, a little bit of history, Sunset Highway, walking the old Sunset Highway, and to look at the basalt in the river.
And that'll do it for today's adventure along the old Sunset Highway near Vantage, Washington. The weather was nice. It got pretty windy for a couple seconds, but that was pretty typical spring weather. Windy, breezy, partly cloudy, sun was out, and desert landscapes. There will be 2, possibly 3 videos up. This one, and then I'm going to be creating a new playlist called Long Exposures, where it's just going to be long nature shots. So there's going to be a couple of videos of being up there on that balcony where we were hanging out for a couple hours. A couple long exposures from up there, 15-20 minutes a piece. And then later in the afternoon, we went down to the lakeshore and hung out on the beach there for a while. And there'll be like a 30 or 40-minute long exposure from that too. So if you're interested in that kind of video, go give those a like and a share too, and let me know what else you think I should include. Drop a like or a comment down below. Have a good one. Ciao.